Alright, so we're back with another video. I wanted to share a few updates on the stock markets. I've shared a lot of ideas in the past. So in this video, I'm going to briefly touch up on a few points, talk about a few updates that have happened in the stock markets and what I think of the current market condition. I'll quickly share what I'm going to talk about in this video. Like I'll flash it over here and then you guys can skip ahead, like whatever part suits you, and you can do your thing. If you guys don't know me, I'm Akash. I share videos on the stock markets. I also host Business Nerd podcasts. I've had a lot of guests from the stock markets as well, so go check out those videos. First is like Paytm. I know like I've shared a lot of videos in the past where I was bullish on Paytm, and it went up after that in December 2022. I shared a lot of ideas and then Macquarie upgraded it. Like I'll just share it in one line. Like RBI knows what it's doing. Whatever things have happened, RBI knows what it's doing. It understands the implications of their decisions on the entire sector. They understand it way better than everyone. So I'll end it there. I don't want to talk about it more. Let's end it there. Second is like I received a lot of questions on this IPO, Ullu Digital. This is a new one for me. Like it's an OTT company, erotic content. I didn't even know if it was legal in India. But like I'm just going to focus on the business side of it. Like the numbers look really good. Revenues have doubled in the last 1 year and they're maintaining good margins. That's a good way to think about this, and I think it is a very new sector and I don't think we have any sort of listed companies in that category. There will be a lot of interest from the market because of the numbers, so that's a positive sign. Metal stocks. Now I've shared a lot of ideas on metal stocks before. Like I've shared about dollar index, then there was a lot of things happening in the Chinese real estate market, then we had a lot of strong demand in the domestic space. Recently in the budget, they've allocated a lot of funds for infrastructure, so all these metal stocks have benefited from it, and like the domestic demand is really good. I don't see any sort of major downside for these metal stocks because the Chinese government is trying to revive their market, so that's a major boost for these metal stocks. I listened to commentary from Tata Steel management and a lot of these metal companies. So overall, the numbers of NMDC, SAIL, Tata Steel, they all look good to me, and I think they'll continue to do well from here. Now the fourth is oil stocks. I think this is one of the most important ones. I'm still of the opinion that this sector is good, but I'll share a few things. Like there's a big learning as well from this. September or October last year, I'd shared an idea on my Instagram. I'd shared it on my LinkedIn, Twitter as well. The idea was like crude stocks were cheap at that time. My way of thinking was like India was buying crude from Russia, and then a lot of these oil marketing companies were getting it for cheap. So I played both those themes. Like I'd shared about crude as well because crude was going up at that time, and when it went up and all these companies like Oil India, ONGC, they went up. After the crude price corrected, all these oil marketing companies did well, so much so that most of these companies like doubled. I don't think I was right there. I was right in a sense in that small window, but like there was a lot of luck in it as well because these kind of movements don't happen in these anomalies that I'm seeing. So consider yourself lucky if you made money in all these oil marketing companies and oil stocks. This doesn't happen every now and then. I'll tell you how you think of these sectors. So right now there is a new theme emerging, that's green hydrogen. There have been a lot of investments in green hydrogen space. I'm not saying no to that, but the results take time. And I think we still have a few more quarters to wait to see actually if the numbers are reflecting. I'll have to read a lot on this. I'm just throwing few surface level facts that I've experienced in the past. But logically speaking, once you see the results, you'll understand how much of the allocation is of green hydrogen in the revenue mix. I am still bullish on oil stocks, by the way. Like I'm not saying the oil stocks have ended. Like crude companies are going to do well. Here's how you think of all these oil companies. Once you know that a very good sector like oil is beaten down, like it's correcting, that's when you consider entering in that space, because there will be a moment when all these stocks turn. It's not like if the entire sector is coming down, there won't be any sort of positive news flow coming, because crude is naturally affected by news from OPEC. If there's any sort of geopolitical tension that we're seeing right now, like the Red Sea and everything, if there's any sort of data coming in for crude oil inventory, watch out for those kind of news and correlate those ideas with oil stocks, because there will be some sort of connection that you can find, and there are hardly 2 or 3 companies listed in the oil basket for PSU companies. So since that's trending, you don't have to worry too much about finding the right stock. Just look at when is the right time to enter, and this is how you think, and that's what I did. Next is rural demand. I shared a post on like LinkedIn recently after watching Akshat Srivastava's video. Like he shared amazing insights on it. You guys can go check out his channel. I was reading about the next big driver for for growth, and he mentioned about consumption, and I think it got me curious to learn about this sector. I did some research on it, and I think India's consumption story is unmatched globally, so that's established. I mean, I don't have to question that. It has been going through a bad phase recently. I think one of the major reasons is that like rural demand is very low. Now, I don't talk about politics, but like all these kinds of news affect the market, so I have to read into those news as well. For any government, like if they want to revive rural demand, they go back to basics, and going back to basics in rural demand is like creating more jobs. That's what they did in this budget as well. I think that will be a key focus in the upcoming reforms that we see. Prime Minister Modi announced that in the next 20 or 30 days they're going to bring in more reforms that India has never seen before. That's a very big statement, and I think if there's any sort of news flow to create more jobs, that's going to help a lot of these FMCG companies, because the growth of FMCG companies is directly related to the growth in rural demand. That is going to be a major play for me. I think you guys can watch out for this sector. So next thing is insurance. So I won't share any sort of comparison data like India's per capita income is this much and then the insurance allocation of that is this much, because I'll leave it to the experts. I'm just a regular investor like everyone. If you guys are following my content, I'd shared an idea on insurance stock before the budget. I shared that like during the budget and after the budget, all these insurance companies in the PSU space will do well. I think that went really well. New India Insurance Company, General Insurance Company, they went up about 50% from its lows that we saw in the last 1.5 months. I mean, those kind of returns are astounding. First of all, like you don't see them on a regular basis. To have returns of 50% in 1 month, I mean, you don't find it anywhere in the world. You kind of have to think it objectively as well. Like there is a strong bull market in all these sectors. And if you have any sort of trends that come along, like the budget, if there's any sort of news from the government, that adds up to that underlying demand. Let's look at like the market movement. Like I said, it went up by 50%. Let's establish that as a fact. There have been a lot of initiatives as well, like cashless everywhere, that added up to this sector. I'm not just talking about the PSU companies in insurance space, because even the private companies in the insurance space are going to do well because they are still cheap. For now, since the market is favoring PSU stocks, I was talking about PSU stocks at that time a month ago, and that did really well. And I think it will continue to do well because insurance is still very much underrated when it comes to investments. The numbers are really good for all these insurance companies. So I think this would be a good play for long term. This one is solar. After 26th Jan, like all these solar companies went up. There was so much euphoria, a point in time that all these SME companies that had solar or green energy on their name, they went up 100-200%. I mean, I didn't participate in any of them, but like recently they've come off from their highs. When you see all these kind of returns, you do have some sort of FOMO. I just wanted to say that we are going to see correction in solar space because the numbers don't reflect the actual valuation that we are seeing right now. Once it corrects, that'll be a good time to enter. Like I'll be entering in a lot of solar companies because I have them on my watch list, and I think blue chip companies, I'm not going to name them since I don't have any positions right now, but like a lot of these PSU companies in solar space, a lot of these private companies, major blue chip companies in the solar space, they will all do well. And the last point is HDFC Bank. Now I've shared my viewpoints on HDFC Bank. It is still one of the best private companies, and like the market has hammered it. I haven't noticed or observed any sort of negative points in the results. I still think that it is really cheap at these valuations, and I think it'll catch up soon in the next few years. For long-term investments, I think it is a really good stock. So that's it from this video. I hope you found this useful. Please do me a small favor, hit that subscribe button, leave a comment. Also, if you guys haven't watched my podcast episodes, go check it out. I've had some amazing guests. If you have any sort of questions that you want me to ask to the next guest, leave them in the comments. Until next time, peace.